My task is to provide a review of contemporary eschatological thinking, and it would really be a truism to point out that these days far more people than just evangelicals are involved in eschatological thinking. It used to be that only evangelicals operated in this area. For example, one of the books that my grandmother gave me some years ago was a book entitled Is the Antichrist at Hand? By Oswald Smith. I don't know if you're acquainted with this little volume, but Oswald Smith became convinced during the 1930s that Mussolini was an excellent candidate for the Antichrist. He felt that since Mussolini was attempting to revive a kind of Roman Empire, that verses such as the whore that sitteth on the 7 hills could be applied to Mussolini, and that the end was at hand in terms of the kind of eschatological situation that Mussolini suggested. Now, that kind of thinking is not particularly common, and evangelicals are not those who are principally involved in eschatological discussions. Actually, eschatology is coming to be the major focus in what might be called mainline theological thinking. President Mackay of Princeton Seminary has made the point that we are on the verge of a whole new era of theology, an era which will place stress upon the Holy Spirit and on eschatology, on the last things. In this presentation, I will not be dealing with evangelical thinking in the area of eschatology because you probably have a good deal of background in this already. I won't be getting into questions of the millennium or the rapture. What I will be doing is to talk about those new emphases in Protestant and Roman Catholic theology, which are definitely eschatological in emphasis. I think we can find some lessons here in our own circles. For example, it's been pointed out that the sects tend to arise as a result of inadequate treatment of doctrines and inadequate practice on the part of the Orthodox Church. I think it can also be said that theological emphases, which are not what we might want them to be, are often our own fault. As a result of our neglecting certain vital areas or not treating them as we ought to, we open up the possibility for other people with less adequate theological positions than our own to move into those areas. For example, we know how sectarians at the far left have taken the work of the Holy Spirit and made this into a kind of criterion for true Christianity. We're unhappy with this, but we can see that our own neglect of areas such as this has opened the door to such possibilities. I wonder if our involvement in pre-rapture, post-rapture type discussions, rather than centering attention on the great issues of eschatology, has opened the door such that those without a sound biblical position have moved into this area and are now emphasizing it. Perhaps this is a lesson that we can pick up from what we're going to investigate. I'm going to deal with 3 major emphases in the eschatological theology of our time. I'm going to begin with the eschatology of the death of God. I'm going to move to the eschatology of Teilhard de Chardin, the late Jesuit paleontologist, and the process theology that connects so closely with his viewpoint. And then finally, I'm going to deal with the most striking example of current eschatological thinking outside of our own circles, namely the so-called Theology of Hope of Jürgen Moltmann. It may seem that these positions are very diverse, but if you look closely, you'll discover that there are certain major themes that run through all of these positions, and when we come down to a general critique at the end, we'll try and underscore what these common elements are and see where the difficulties arise. I'm going to begin with the least sophisticated of the current eschatological emphases, namely the eschatology presented in the Death of God movement, and specifically the eschatology in the position of Thomas J.J. Altizer. We begin here both because this position is
Sample complete. Ready to continue?